Still writing at 92, this particular working woman is showing others the way. Never mind about your body, she advises. Take care of your brain.
I was talking to Douglas Fairbanks the other day. He's just got married again at 83. He's still very good looking. And he said that all his friends are either dead or gaga. And it's because they don't use their brain, you see. And they're worried, I must say it here today. They have these people in the homes, and they just let them look at the television. That's movement. It isn't using your brain.
According to Dame Barbara, the breakup of so many British marriages is causing concern at number 10.
But don't you see, what is so frightening, and what I said to the Prime Minister, and he agreed with me, is that 1 in 2 marriages fail. Who suffers? The children.
The romantic novelist revealed how she helps an overworked Mr. Major by keeping him in touch with Britain's moral health.
Can you just tilt him? That's fine, that's fine.
Ovo je Canfield Place, nalazi se u Hertfordshireu, nadomak Londona. Ovdje živi Barbara Kartland, verovatno najprodavaniji pisac ovoga veka. Napisala je 665 knjiga, a njene knjige su prodate u 750 miliona primjeraka. Danas gospođa Barbara Kartland ima zvanje Dame. To je kao ono kada vi kažete za muškarca Sir. To zvanje je dobila 1995. godine, lično od kraljice Elizabete, britanske kraljice. Ova žena predstavlja svojevrstan uopšte spomenik energije, života, talenta i svega onoga što je, možemo slobodno da kažemo, bila nekada britanska imperija.
Extremely good looking, and his eyes were looking at her in a strange way that she'd never felt before. She said, she looked at him for a long time, and then she suddenly said, "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I love you." He said, "I love you more than I've ever loved anybody in my whole life, and I want to know if you love me." She then knew then that she'd found the thing she'd always wanted, someone who'd love her for herself and not for her money. I love you, she said. And as he took her in his arms, she knew that he really loved her too. As he kissed her, they felt that he was carrying her up into paradise. I love you, she kept saying, and he said the same. That was what they would go on saying for the rest of their lives. How many words?
6,200.
Good. That's lovely. Come on, tea.
That's fine.
I do want him in the show.
I've rolled him now.
Is the dog always impatient? Because you gave so many interviews.
Yeah. He always. Well, a dog. Now you see it's bored. Now come on, don't be good, Pat. Very good.
How did you manage to stay so alive and so full of optimism all these years?
Because I'm head of alternative medicine. You see, I've discovered the first time when I went to America, I realized that we hadn't got any sort of thing here for helping people. And so I started it then. Now, of course, it's terrific. And I've got a new one, which is absolutely wonderful, which takes everything off your hand. I must show you this, because it really is rather wonderful. You see, I've got a single line. And I'm 94 now, 95, 96, 96, I can't remember. 96, and I haven't got a single line on my body. And this is the new thing that I've just found. I'm quite excited about it. It's absolutely wonderful.
Have you been doing things what you like, what you want?
No, I've had to work very hard to get what I wanted, but I've managed it. I've now written more books than anybody else in the world. And that's very exciting. And I will not write about sex in any way at all. My books are all about love, 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 love. And I know you'll be interested. The Russians have just said, love comes from the heart and the soul, which I think is a frightfully good thing to say. And I end all my books with, they found love, the love which comes from God and is part of God. And they lived happily ever afterwards.
How many times have you been really, really in love?
Oh, several times. I was looking last night before you came. I've had 65 questions of people wanting to marry me. I married my 50th, first of all, and I had my first proposal of marriage 9 days after I left school. I was rather frightened. I ran away. My mother said, "You'll have to get used to it," and I did. If you mean for real love, every man, I get most wonderful letters from men saying, "I've always looked for real love," and you write about real love. And they really feel marvelous from my books because it's the love they want. But you see, what is wrong is women are so busy having a career today, they don't look after their men. If you have a husband and young children, you have to look after them. What you mustn't do is to rush off and have a career all the time. And when the man comes home, instead of saying, "Darling, can I get you anything? Are you feeling tired?" They say, "But since today I did so well, wow." And of course the man then goes away and carries on, and the secretary is more sympathetic.
What name? John Carter. John? John. Try another one, because I get a better smile.
What I do write about, I write about things that are true and real, rather than things that, you know, improper and sexy. I won't write about sex at all.
You don't think sex is important?
What?
Do you think sex is important?
Well, it is in every other country, isn't it? It is in this country. If sex is it's completely altered things all the way around. And what is such a pity is, because we've had sex and all these other things, that people have very bad manners. England used to be famous for being called gentlemen. Didn't matter how you were born, if you behaved well, you were a gentleman. And today it's very hard to find one. Simply and solely because women are so busy rushing, I must have my career, pushing the men out of the side, and they're also fighting to keep their careers going, and therefore they don't think about having beautiful manners, being charming, and, of course, looking after women. My one youngest son, he had to go by underground every day, you see. And I said, of course, he would get up for a woman. And he said, when the fourth woman got up and said, I said, "I can sit as well as you, stand as well as you," he thought after that he wouldn't offer them a seat anymore.
Your house is an historic house.
Yes, because here the woman wrote the tale of Peter Rabbit, and in the garden there's a tree which is very lucky, which was planted by Elizabeth I before she became queen. That was a long time ago, and it's supposed to be very, very lucky, and I'm going to be buried there when I die.
Are you thinking about dying?
Of course one thinks about dying when you're as old as me. If you believe in heaven, you believe in heaven.
But you would like to have your children around you.
Yes, of course. Well, my children are around me now, but they're getting quite old.
Are they? No.
My eldest son has just had his 70th birthday.
Someone to speak
What's a
to.
pig for tea?
I'm going to, but you're not ready for it now yet.
No, it doesn't take 2 minutes. It doesn't take 2 minutes.
For you to be a son of Barbara Kartland.
Come on, quickly.
Well, I think it's a great privilege, and I think I'm very, very lucky. And I think a lot of other people would be very envious.
That's why I'm asking you, because I think to stay together with the family nowadays, it's an extreme luxury, and to keep the family together and, you know, this big house, like childhood. Everybody wants to repeat a childhood in a way.
Well, I think family is very, very special, actually, particularly now when there's so many world troubles and problems. Family is absolutely the most essential thing there is.
2 husbands you had.
Yes, 2 husbands.
You loved them?
My first, as I say, my first proposal marriage was 9 days after I left school. And my mother said, you'll have to get used to it. And everybody seemed to want to marry me, so I married the 5th one. 5th proposal marriage. And we were very happy for a little time. And then we had a divorce, which is all sad.
Why?
Well, he was having an affair with somebody else, and I thought it was dangerous. And I thought I might lose my daughter. And so we had a very tiresome thing. And at the end, the man, the head man, said this was a case brought by a rich man to fraud his daughter over the money she was entitled to. And she's entitled to every penny she could get. And I couldn't really get any penny at all. So.
Have you been jealous when you have been young?
Not particularly, because people were so terribly in love with me. They were jealous of me, not me jealous of them. And I married my 2nd husband. I was terribly happy with him. And he died from his wounds that he got when he was when he was a young man. He was in the hospital for 5 years. And then after that, I didn't want to marry anybody else because I was being so happy with him.
Tell me, how was London before?
It's terribly gay, you see. I think the girls today have a terribly bad time.
No?
There was a party every night. Lovely dances. And you dance and you dance. And then you drove up to the top of the place where the openings for the park. And the chauffeur went and got you some tea and you talked to the man. And he then tried to kiss you and also said, will you marry me? And one man said, produce a revolver from his pocket and said, either you marry me or I'm going to kill myself. So I said, well, I'll give you one answer when I get home. So when we got home, he was getting in his pocket to pay the taxi. I jumped out, went to the door, said, no, and shut the door. He didn't kill himself.
You always said that it's a very, very bad feeling when you go to the ball and the girls are standing next to the wall and nobody asks them for dance. So for your daughter, in fact, you did the most fantastic thing. You made a kind of a dinner where you invited 24 men.
That's it. Well, but Wayne said that when they got there, men were always sort of busy drinking or smoking, and therefore didn't ask them to dance. So I had 24 men and 3 women, Mummy, Rain, and me. And so when they went for the dance, of course, they arrived with all the men. They were ready to dance with everybody. Everybody laughed. It was the sort of thing which was amusing in those days.
You know, it's very unpleasant if you're standing there and nobody asks you for a dance. You feel so bad.
I know, you see, therefore, with all the men I'd collected, of course, they all danced every night. Danced every dance and enjoyed themselves a great deal. Of course, you see, there aren't the lovely dances. They used to dance every night. The men only had to pay just to take you in, and you had to have 5 shillings or something amount of food or drink, that's all. Then you danced and you danced till it was morning.
How are your legs? Let me see.
It's lovely.
How are your legs?
Lovely.
Is it okay with your legs? You don't have pain in your legs after all this dancing?
No.
My mother asked me where I wanted to live, and I said London. I arrived there as a debutante in 1919. I was a huge success because I was pretty and very vivacious. Every man I met seemed to be singing to me the most popular song of the time, which was, "If You Were the Only Girl in the World."
are related to Diana Spencer. Your daughter married her father, isn't it?
Well, it's extraordinary, and I mean, it's such a complicated family, and he's had 4 children already, the son has, and then, you know, it's terribly big to remember it all, but the point was that Diana went through in her own way, caring for people. One night, I read in the papers, I was going to sleep, I found that she'd gone out at night, midnight, driving the car herself, gone to a hospital, cheered up a man who was dying, and she made him happy, and then she drove back. And I said to her, you must never do that again. It's terribly dangerous now. Anybody might have kidnapped you, they might have seized the car, or to hit you on the head so as to get it. So you must take someone with you. You must never do that again. So she promised me she would, but that was almost just before she died.
Do you think now that maybe she was partly living in a dream?
No, I think she was very practical. She knew that people were suffering. She knew the children were being neglected. She knew the children were taking drugs. She was the first person who really settled and said they must help the children in Europe. She was the one person who went out to see them. Nobody else bothered. He just said, oh, well, it's having there's what are we to do about it? She went to talk to them. She made them happy. She made them feel that they were loved and cared for. And that's why they're trying now to show back by this enormous amount of money that's being collected by the flowers that have been sent. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, back here.
Yep.
Been here all the time, have you?
How did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it very much, very impressive. It all went wonderfully well. Prince Charles did it very well as a bridegroom, and my daughter was absolutely wonderful. But very beautiful.
There was some concern yesterday.
She was very beautiful. Absolutely wonderful, like a fairy tale princess.
It would be a romantic dress and just beautiful. She was absolutely...
They coped all right with they were very sad, because it's so awful having got so far. Indeed, poor things, I'm so sorry. As I'm only hoping the chef will really come up with some good food for them. Lovely Cinderella coach.
Yes, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yes.
How do you feel now watching all this?
Well,
There she is.
I mean, it really is a lovely Cinderella story, isn't it? You know, it's exactly a Barbara Cartland story. It couldn't be better. We wish long life and happiness, and just like us, a life of service to our people, the young couple, Charles and Diana.
Charles and Diana.
What a wonderful service, ma'am. Do you enjoy it?
Fabulous in every way, and very beautiful in the religious sense as well, I thought.
Yes. And how did you think Lady Diana looked?
Perfectly beautiful, and I'm sure she'll be wonderful and vow to her country and do all the things that everybody is so much hoping she will do.
This is a photograph of her staying by her father, and those are Barbara Cartland books that she was reading. And he had another picture, which I'd lost, which he had 3 Barbara Cartlands, and she was in bed, sitting reading it.
Yeah.
When she was 16, 17, I said to my daughter, she's so pretty now, I feel she ought to be able to dance with a young man like I was at that age. I always called her the Princess of Love. Well, I don't think she was terribly happy, but she always appeared to be doing something nice, looking for something pleasant. She never looked unpleasant. She may have been shocked and upset by some of the things that happened. You know, her mother had a divorce when she was very young, and she was left with just with her father. And she was very fond of her father. He was very fond of her. But I think that she missed quite a lot in life, but she made up for it by giving so much love that people gave her love. It's awfully difficult to explain, but I mean, I've seen it happen. So now it's happened. It's extraordinary. That's Winston. That's Winston Churchill, who he always stood like that when they opened.
Was he charming?
Oh, yes, very, very, very charming, very interesting. And always had something to say, something new and something different.
He was not very handsome.
You know, this was the, I used to go down, all the boys went down in one time to a race, you see. And I went there and I said, women can drive too. They said, prove it, prove it. And I had the greatest difficulty in 12 women who could drive a car in those days, you see. We couldn't drive cars. And so I did the first woman's race that was ever done.
Coming. She'll win. She'll win.
In those days, everybody was talking about flying, you see, and and so I said to you know, how much they enjoyed it. They were talking how much they enjoyed it, and a friend came up and said, "Oh, I'm so depressed." He said, "I've got the most wonderful collection of strawberries this year in my garden, and I know if I took them to France, they would be a great success. I'd get a lot of money for it." So I said, "Well, why don't you send it by boat?" And he said, "Oh, it takes too long, you see. They'd be dead by the time they got there." So I said, "What we want is an aeroplane towed glider." And then we made one. I paid for it. And the Germans used it when the invasion of Crete. The Americans gave me, which is over there, the most enormous award you can possibly get. The English used it in the war and never even said thank you. Lord Barbare was angry with them. They never even said thank you. They're typical.
It's our lovely day. This is the day I shall remember, the day I am dying. They can't take this away. It will be always mine, the sun and the wine, the seabirds crying. All happiness must pay, and if our ship goes down, she'll go with the flag still flying.
But look at me and say,
You're always wearing pink.
Well, that again is something exciting that happened to me. When I was on my first honeymoon, I went to what's the name of the place, and where all the people are buried. And I found a man sitting on Tutankhamun, just found Tutankhamun's tomb, sitting on it with Lord Carnarvon, he'd got it. And because I was very pretty, he took me around the Valley of the Kings and showed me all the things like that, and particularly this wonderful pink. And so I wore pink. And a few years later, the Americans woke up to the fact it was frightfully good for the brain. And they printed a whole prison pink. And then I went out and had the awards, and everybody wore pink. And because they were in a hurry, and of course some of them weren't really of it, some of them came in their bathing dress. But anyway, it was a great success. And you see, I've worn it ever since, because if I don't wear pink, people say, "You're not in pink. Why aren't you in pink?"
Exactly.
Something peculiar is happening, so I wear pink.
I met you at the fashion show of Hassan. Then you are going out often.
Clothes are terribly, terribly expensive
You
now.
think so?
Well, I tell you what's so amusing. Usually I have a little coatee, you know, over this sort of thing like that. And I found Norman Wilkinson, you see. And so he made that specially for me, designed it for me.
A day for 2 hours. Dame Barbara dictates a chapter of her book every day.
In fact, I have a feeling during her dictation that she is having a picture exactly what's going on.
Yes, you'll have to ask them.
You have to feel it, and you feel it's happening, and it always has happened in the past. And all the mass of people have been in love with me, I think of them. It comes back.
This is going to be the 656th book, in fact.
That's right.
67th book.
When is it going to come out?
We don't know when it's going to be published. It'll be finished next week, but we don't know when it's going to be published.
You don't know about love. It frightens you, that's it, isn't it?
I thought that love wouldn't be all these games. I thought that it would be something honest and holy.
And what I always recommend for girls all over the world, and for everybody, when you're married, you must have a second honeymoon every year.
Every year?
Every year. And you go, if you were poor, you go in a tent, you leave the children with mummy anyway, and you go away, if possible, to the place where you went. I went to Paris, where I always was, and we had then you go to bed after lunch, you have a very good lunch, and then go to bed, because men are at their best in the middle day. And then in the evening, you can go out in the curiosity, and you're in no hurry, you see. You go anywhere and see anything, but you're in no hurry to get back, because you had a wonderful time all the afternoon. And it works beautifully, and people write to me and say, you're absolutely right, now our wedding, which was cracking up, is now absolutely wonderful. And I love him, I love him, I love him. They write to me all the time saying it's wonderful. I've had a wonderful life, although, of course, it's had ups and downs. It's inexpressible misery, and it's radiant happiness. I've been given and I'm still receiving so much love, for which I'm very, very grateful. I think what I feel is best expressed when I sing, "Love is my reason for living." What I want in my life, what everyone wants all the world over, is love. It is in love. I have found that one must give love. Love is my reason for living. Love is my reason for giving. Life would be only empty and lonely if it were not for love.
So I don't always feel proud. Let's get towards the end.
Surely you heard my heart beat. Now in your arms I surrender, finding my own true love.
Love is My Reason for Living, sung by Dame Barbara Kartland.